You wake up to the stench of fresh blood, your hands already stained from slicing open a sheep's belly, its entrails spilling out for you to read. That's just another morning as a Haruspex in ancient Rome. Could you stomach this life? In ancient Rome, when you needed to know the gods' will, you didn't just pray or watch the skies. You sought a Haruspex, a master diviner who read the future in the entrails of sacrificed animals. These figures were deeply revered, their prophecies shaping the fate of wars or grand monuments. Today, we'll uncover what your life would be like as a Haruspex. You're born into a fancy Etruscan family, where being a Haruspex isn't just a job, it's a family tradition passed down like a creepy heirloom. Around 7 or 8 years old, you're picked to start training, because the Roman Senate insists on keeping a fresh batch of young diviners ready to go. It's not like you got a say in it. But hey, who doesn't dream of poking around animal guts for a living? At 8, you dive into the Disciplina Etrusca, a secret stash of knowledge about fortune-telling that's all about reading entrails. It's like learning a magical code, except the textbook is a bloody liver. You're memorizing weird rituals and trying not to gag at the smell of your homework. By 10, you're flipping through ancient books, like the Libri Haruspicini, decoding what a sheep's liver might say about the god's mood. Every mark or squiggle could mean war, peace, or just a bad day for Rome. It's a lot of pressure for a kid who'd rather be playing with a wooden sword. When you hit 12, you're up close and personal with sheep livers, learning to spot odd shapes, funky colors, or anything that screams bad omen. Your teacher's probably some grumpy old Haruspex who yells if you miss a weird vein. It's like art class, but way grosser. At 13, you start shadowing a seasoned Haruspex, watching them slice and dice with the confidence of a master chef. You're taking notes, holding tools, and maybe sneaking a nap when they ramble about divine signs. This apprenticeship is your ticket to the big leagues, so you'd better not mess it up. Your training drags on for years, testing your memory and patience until you're about 18. You're basically a walking encyclopedia of guts and gods by now. It's exhausting, but you're starting to feel like you might actually pull this off. By 15, you've got the liver's layout memorized, every section tied to a different god like a cosmic map. You can point to a spot and say, "Yup, that's Jupiter's turf." It's weirdly satisfying, even if your friends think you're obsessed with organs. Around 16, you're learning to read freaky natural events, like lightning bolts or two-headed calves, as messages from the gods. It's like being a detective for divine drama, piecing together clues from storms or mutant animals. You're starting to see why people take you seriously. Finally, between 18 and 20, you're crowned a full-fledged Haruspex, ready to slice your way into Roman history. It's a big deal, like graduating from wizard school, but with more blood and fewer wands. You're officially the guy everyone trusts to chat with the gods. You're up at the crack of dawn, shaking off sleep to gear up for another day of divine detective work. You splash water on your face, scrub clean, and slip into a fancy white or purple robe that screams purity and, "I'm kind of a big deal." It's not just fashion, it's your Haruspex uniform, setting the stage for a day of chatting with the gods. Next, you huddle with your assistants or slaves to plan the day's sacrifices and consultations. It's like a morning meeting, but instead of coffee and scrolls, you're debating which sheep's liver might hold Rome's fate. You also sneak in a quick prayer or small offering to your household gods to keep them in a good mood. You head to your workplace, maybe a grand temple or a gritty sacrificial site, ready to get your hands messy. You lay out your tools, a sharp sacrificial knife and a shiny bronze liver model that's basically your cheat sheet for decoding entrails. It's all very professional, even if the smell makes your stomach do flips. Time for the main event. You perform sacrifices, slicing into animals for state officials or private clients based on the day's schedule. You carefully inspect the guts, especially the liver, squinting for any weird marks that might mean Jupiter's grumpy or build that temple. It's gross, but you're the guy turning gore into divine gossip. You jot down your findings, turning squishy organs into official reports like a bloody scholar. Then you meet with clients or big-shot officials to share your wisdom, explaining why that lumpy liver means they should hold off on war plans. You've got to sound confident, even if you're quietly wondering if you read that vein right. Between these intense sessions, you sneak in some study time, poring over ancient texts or liver models to keep your skills sharp. You might also swing by a social event or chat with other priests, swapping omen tips like they're the latest gossip. It's networking, Haruspex style, and you're all about staying in the know. If you get a rare free moment, you hit the public bathhouse to soak away the day's blood and stress. Later, you feast with family or friends, digging into fancy dishes like roasted meat, fresh fish, and a splash of wine. It's a sweet perk of the job, especially since you're dining like Rome's elite. Before bed, you wind down by reading religious texts or mentally prepping for tomorrow's sacrifices. You're not just closing your eyes, you're bracing for another day of entrails and divine riddles. It's a wild life, but you're the one the gods chose to live it. Your main tools are the poor animals you sacrifice, usually sheep or some unlucky chickens, ready to spill their secrets for the gods. You're poking around their livers, gallbladders, and other squishy bits, looking for divine hints like a detective hunting clues in a gooey crime scene. It's not glamorous, but it's how you talk to the heavens. To help you out, you've got a shiny bronze liver model, like the famous Piacenza liver, which is basically your trusty guidebook in 3D. You use it to teach newbies or double-check your work when a liver's looking extra weird. Think of it as your sacred cheat sheet, minus the paper cuts. You also wield a sharp knife or other slicing tools to get the job done, carving through animals with the precision of a butcher who talks to gods. These tools are your bread and butter, letting you open up those entrails to see what Jupiter's got planned. You keep them sharp and ready, because a dull blade just won't cut it in this line of work. For extra guidance, you flip through ancient texts, like the Libri Haruspicini, packed with tips on what a lumpy liver might mean. These books are your go-to when the gods are being cryptic, which is pretty much always. It's like reading a divine instruction manual written by someone who loves riddles. Sometimes, you even pull out charts or star maps to link the liver's zones to the cosmos, because apparently the gods love a good astrology entrail crossover. It's a bit like connecting the dots between a sheep's guts and the night sky. Weird? Sure, but it's all in a day's work for you. You slip into a flowing white or purple toga, the ultimate flex of purity and high status in ancient Rome, making you look like a walking symbol of divine VIP. It's not just a robe, it's a statement that says, I talk to gods, and I look good doing it. Everyone knows you're someone important just by the way you drape that fabric. When it's time for sacrifices, you throw on an apron or protective gear to keep the blood off your fancy toga. It's like a butcher's smock, but with a holy vibe, because nothing ruins your divine cred like a giant red stain. You're slicing into animals, so practicality wins over fashion for a bit. You might top off your look with a ceremonial hat like an apex or pileus to really drive home your Haruspex swagger. These aren't just hats, they're your crown, shouting to the crowd that you're the guy who reads entrails for a living. Plus, they make you stand out in a sea of togas. To seal the deal, you deck yourself out with necklaces or rings, the kind of bling that screams elite status. It's not about showing off, well, maybe a little, but it's mostly about looking the part of a divine go-between. Your jewelry jingles as you work, reminding everyone you're no ordinary Roman. You dine like a wealthy Roman, feasting on crusty bread, tangy olives, creamy cheese, fresh fish, juicy meat, and sweet fruit, living the high life at every meal. Your table's a spread fit for a senator, with flavors that make your taste buds sing. It's not just food, it's proof you're rubbing elbows with Rome's elite. Sometimes, you get to chow down on meat from the animals you've sacrificed, a tasty perk of your holy gig. It's like the gods are saying, "Nice job with the entrails, have a steak." You're not complaining, especially since it's part of the ritual. Thanks to your job, fresh meat is basically on tap, a luxury most Romans can only dream of. While others are stuck with stale bread, you're carving into prime cuts regularly. It's one of the best side hustles of being a Haruspex, hands down. On certain religious occasions, you might follow special dietary rules or eat specific meals to keep the gods happy. Maybe it's a day of just bread and wine, or skipping meat to stay pure for a big ritual. Whatever the case, you roll with it, because keeping the divine menu in check is part of your deal. You make a daily pilgrimage to a public or private bathhouse, scrubbing away the grime of Rome like it's your second job. These bathhouses are like social clubs with hot tubs, where you soak, sweat, and maybe gossip about whose sacrifice went wrong. It's not just about getting clean, it's about keeping up your elite Haruspex vibe. You rely on water from Rome's fancy aqueducts to wash up, a marvel that keeps your baths fresh and flowing. Whether you're rinsing off blood from a sacrifice or just the city's dust, that crystal clear water is a lifesaver. You're basically living in the lap of Roman plumbing luxury. Before any big ritual, you go through a special cleansing ceremony to make sure you're pure enough to chat with the gods. It's like a spiritual shower, washing away bad vibes with prayers and maybe a splash of sacred water. You can't risk upsetting Jupiter with a dirty soul, after all. To top it off, you slather on perfumes and fancy grooming products, because the elite don't just smell like sheep guts. You're dripping in scents that scream wealth, turning heads as you strut through Rome. It's all part of the Haruspex package, keeping you fresh for gods and mortals alike. You dive into Rome's wild public events, cheering at gladiator fights, betting on chariot races, or laughing at theatre shows packed with drama and slapstick. These aren't just fun outings, they're where you soak up the city's pulse and maybe rub elbows with big shots. When the crowd roars, you're right there, living it up like a true Roman. You're also a regular at feasts and fancy social gatherings, where wine flows and gossip flies faster than a chariot. These parties are your chance to schmooze with the elite, swapping stories over plates piled high with food. It's less about relaxing and more about keeping your spot in Rome's high society. In quieter moments, you kick back with private hobbies like reading, writing, or diving into religious texts that make you sound extra wise. It's your time to recharge, scribbling thoughts or puzzling over ancient scrolls. You're not just a Haruspex, you're a scholar with a side of divine flair. Sometimes, you unwind with board games or other popular Roman pastimes, rolling dice or moving pieces with friends. It's like a night at the tavern, but with less bloodshed than the arena. These games keep your mind sharp, because even a Haruspex needs a break from Entrails. Your predictions carry so much weight that people practically bow when you walk by, knowing you hold the keys to major decisions. You're not just respected, you're a big deal, with your words shaping wars or temple plans. It's a lot of pressure, but you wear it like a badge of honor. You hail from an elite Etruscan family, the kind of lineage that screams prestige and old money. Being a Haruspex isn't just a job, it's your birthright, tying you to Rome's upper crust. You're living proof that bloodlines and divine gigs go hand in hand. The state gives you a gold star, recognizing you as part of a 60-member Haruspex council during the Empire, a select crew of gut-reading pros. Your services are in hot demand, with both the government and private folks begging for your divine insights. You're basically Rome's go-to guy for godly advice. You team up with other priests like augurs and pontifices during big state rituals, blending your entrail reading skills with their omen spotting tricks. It's like a divine Avengers squad, each of you bringing something to the table. Together, you make sure Rome stays on the gods' good side. Your predictions get mixed with those of other priests to make major calls, like whether to launch a war or build a new temple. The Senate might even summon you to decode weird events, like a comet or a freaky storm, because you're the expert on divine red flags. It's high-stakes teamwork, and you're right in the middle. You also collaborate with these priests during religious ceremonies, performing rituals that keep the gods happy and Rome thriving. Whether it's chanting, sacrificing, or just looking holy, you're all in sync. It's like a sacred choreographed dance, and you've got the moves down pat. The state calls you in for the big stuff, like deciding whether to launch a war or build a shiny new temple. Your predictions are the key to keeping the Pax Diorum, that sweet peace deal with the gods that keeps Rome running smoothly. One wrong call, and you could tick off Jupiter, so no pressure or anything. You're also the go-to guy for decoding weird omens or freaky events, like a comet streaking across the sky or a calf born with two heads. Your job is to figure out what the gods are trying to say through these divine curveballs. It's like being a cosmic detective, and Rome's fate hangs on your gut-reading skills. Your services are straight up essential for the state's prosperity and security, no exaggeration. Without your entrail expertise, Rome might spiral into chaos or lose the gods' favor. You're not just a priest, you're a national asset, keeping the empire's divine Wi-Fi connected. On the side, you offer private consultations for folks wrestling with personal problems, like whether to start a business or who their kid should marry. These one-on-one sessions happen at your place or the client's, depending on their vibe. It's like being a therapist, but with more sheep and fewer couches. For these private gigs, clients might bring their own sacrificial animals, or you provide the livestock if they're short on goats. You slice, you read, you deliver the gods' advice, all tailored to their drama. It's a bespoke divine service, and you're the expert they trust. Everything in these private sessions stays hush-hush, no leaks allowed. Your clients count on your discretion, whether it's a merchant betting on a trade deal or a noble worried about family scandals. You're like Rome's most secretive fortune teller, keeping their fates under wraps. Your job is downright gnarly by today's standards, slicing open animals and rummaging through their insides like it's no big deal. You're wrist-deep in blood, inspecting livers and gallbladders for divine messages, which is probably not on anyone's modern career list. It's gross, but to you, it's just another day at the office. You genuinely believe the liver is a mini-universe, a cosmic map spilling the gods' secrets. Every bump or weird color is a headline from the heavens, guiding your predictions. It's wild to think a sheep's organ holds the key to Rome's future, but you're all in on this ancient science. When you spot something off, like a missing lobe or a funky-colored liver, it's bad news, a divine red flag screaming trouble. These abnormalities are like the gods texting, "Abort mission," in all caps. You've got to break the news carefully, because nobody likes hearing their plans are cursed. There's even whispers of human sacrifice in super rare cases, though the records are murky and nobody's admitting to it. It's the kind of dark rumor that makes your job sound like a horror flick, but you stick to sheep. Thank you very much. Still, it adds a creepy edge to your already wild gig. Your profession starts to fade as Christianity takes over the Roman Empire, turning your pagan rituals into yesterday's news. The new religion isn't a fan of your entrail reading ways, and your sacred skills get pushed to the sidelines. It's a tough blow for a job that once ran Rome's divine show. By the time Christianity becomes the state religion, your pagan practices are outright suppressed, like a divine cancellation. Your rituals are seen as old school at best, heretical at worst, and you're fighting a losing battle. The gods you serve are getting benched, and you're caught in the crossfire. The last mention of Haruspices comes in the 5th century CE, when you and your crew try to save Rome from the Goths with one final ritual, but it never happens. It's a sad curtain call for a once vital role. Your craft is on its last legs, and the world's moving on. When the Western Roman Empire collapses, the Haruspex gig vanishes for good, buried under the rubble of a fallen civilization. Your knives, liver models, and cosmic know-how become relics of a bygone era. It's the end of the line, but for centuries you were Rome's link to the divine, and that's no small feat. As a Haruspex in ancient Rome, your life brims with mystery, blood, and the heavy duty of decoding the god's will. From grueling training to daily sacrifices, your role is crucial in securing divine favor for Rome and its people. Your practices, shocking by today's standards, were once the heartbeat of Roman society, woven into its deep faith and fear of the supernatural. You stand as a bridge between mortals and the divine, a legacy etched in the gore and glory of an empire now gone.